welcome to Real Talk episode 19. I am Brian Rose and we're here at London Real Studios. And oh my gosh, it's been an incredible day. We had GARYVee up in this place. That's Gary Vaynerchuk, founder of VaynerMedia, the guy who wrote Crush It, Jab, 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 Right Hook, and now Ask GARYVee, which is a book all about his show, which is the Ask GARYVee show, which hopefully you've watched or listened to. You know, Gary is a social media expert. He just knows his stuff and he practices it. He really lives it and eats it and breathes it. And I've been excited for this interview for a long time. We've been working with his people for probably the last year, year and a half, maybe even 2 years. We've been pitching this and it all happened today. We were super excited. Gary comes in the studio. He's rolling 5 deep. He's got his own camera crew. He was the only guy in this seat to ever wear 2 microphones, one for us, one for his own video guy, which of course he brought with him. And then he was out the door. He had done a flash mob the night before. Well, tell you what, here are some behind the scenes video just out now as we speak. This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Gary Vaynerchuk. Welcome to London Real.
Thanks for having me. Last night was something I probably will, it's funny, I told the team, I will fundamentally remember this night my whole life. Last night I did something I haven't done in a long time. Early Twitter, 2007, 2008, we were debating how many people would show up. And I was like, man, if 50 people show up, then I feel like my brand is really doing something, like something's happening here. And there was 250, 300 people. You said something as we were miking up. I did this and I went all in because I knew in 2011, like way back then, that YouTube was important. And it was powerful to me. It was such a pure statement from you. And then, very honestly, I was like, Jesus Christ, I knew YouTube was important in 2006.
Yeah, I know.
And I know you know. I mean, I started a show 4 months after it started. And you were so right. And it was early. 2011 was absolute, and I was like, my God.
Gary, welcome to London. It's nice to have VaynerMedia here.
Thank you.
I think you're going to do great things. It's going to be fun to watch. If we can help, let us know.
Thank you.
The book is Ask GARYVee, One
Yes.
Entrepreneur's Take on Leadership, Social Media, and Self-Awareness.
Yes.
And that's all I got to say. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, brother.
All right, appreciate it. So Gary and I talked about pretty much everything, including his thoughts on Snapchat, Musically, where Twitter's going, where it's not going. He's going to be in London every 6 weeks now as they open up their office of VaynerMedia here. And it was just incredible to really learn from the man. We talked about whether entrepreneurs are born or made. Can you guess which one? And a lot more. And I'm going to be getting into more of that stuff later and some of the things that we discussed. So many ideas. And we really had a nice quiet chat. And Gary even said he was glad to kind of really drop it down a few notches and have a real conversation, because usually he's screaming, he's at a conference, he's like, he even said trying to get attention, and it was great to actually chill with him. So more about that later. We just dropped Dan Pena, Brian Rose, episode 3. Now, if you've been watching London Real for a while, you know I have a history with the $50 billion man. His picture is up on the wall. We're both wearing kilts, hanging out at his castle in Scotland. But this was by far the best ever Dan Pena and Brian Rose in the studio. And Dan got raw, he got real, and guess what? He offended some people. Well, that's what Dan does. And if you think he was offensive on this show, go to his castle. He'll offend you that times about 10. And you know, that's just who Dan is. And that's very real. And that's what London Real is all about. And again, he's got the right to express his opinion, and that's why we put it out there. So I hope you enjoyed it. Most of the people were really inspired, and I love it when he brings it. So that's going on with Dan Pena. We got Jocko Willink coming out soon. That's the U.S. Navy SEAL who wrote the book Extreme Ownership, and we have an amazing interview with Jocko, really capturing the man with multiple camera angles and some really deep talk about his battles in Ramadi, what it's like to transfer those lessons into business, and also finally his thoughts on the SAS and the British Armed Forces. He's actually married to a British woman himself, and so he's got real ties here to that continent. So that's amazing stuff as well. And I still can't get over the incredible energy that we had 10 days ago at our summit meeting here in London. I was just talking to the boys here in the video team about what happened that day. We didn't get a chance to talk about it because Max Kaiser was up in this place a week ago. So we were talking about the economy and all sorts of crazy stuff. But wow, amazing energy here. We had 200 London Reelers fly from around the world and come meet up at the Royal Aeronautical Institute. We had a day of crazy inspiration. Chris Eubank, Brad Burton taking over London. You know what? Tell you what. Watch it. This is what it was like.
I've been on ya.
Just flash mob Trafalgar Square with the megaphone. It was crazy. 160 London Reelers acting like London Reelers do. Yeah. Move along, please. Move along. And it was actually incredible. We're going back to number 4 Hamilton. What an incredible day that summit was. We broke out into teams, and that's what all the masks were about. We went out into London, and you could see us embodying the spirit animal of so many great London Reel guests that you've seen here in this chair, and it was just an amazing day. It was really our first big event ever, and we just put our heart and soul into it, and we had one mission, was to help everyone find the others and connect with each other. And quite honestly, I think we did an incredible job. Props given to the entire team that worked on it. As you can probably tell, it was a lot of behind-the-scenes pieces, a lot of video we created just for the event. And we were just really honored and really re-inspired by all of the incredible energy that London Reelers bring with them, and especially Academy members. They're just on their games, and so many people met and started collaborating and are going to be lifelong friends on the back of that. We also had the global reel community there, so people from all over the world with their own reel shows, and I just got off a call with them on Monday night, and we're just really putting even more energy back into all the different reels around the world. And of course, if you want to be a part of that, just join the Academy. You can get in that group and start your own show. But it was all about looking at the resources we have here and just using them, because we're here ready to get you to push yourself and be a better you. All you have to do is come join us. It's that simple. So come check out the Academy. Next event, I'm throwing this out there, September, where we're all going to get together, and I think it's going to be twice as big. So stay tuned for that. There's more coming. But you know, we can't sit around here and kind of talk about all the great things that have happened, because it's then the next thing and then the next thing. And today we had GARYVee in the house. Yesterday we had Mark Wright on the house, who won The Apprentice UK in 2014 and then was invested in by Lord Alan Sugar. 250,000 pounds he was given to start a company, and a year later it is a highly successful digital marketing agency worth £1.5 million in revenue. And Mark was incredible. He sat here and talked about what it was like to really have a mentor that is as successful as Lord Sugar and how it's changed his game. So that was incredible. And then last week we had Louis Cole in the building, and Louis has been daily vlogging for pretty much the last 3 years straight as he's traveled the entire world. He's from Britain, but he's done so many incredible things, including a lot of special projects in Africa. He's now on a Solve project, which is going out to get ideas for people to solve around the world. And here's a few behind-the-scenes takes of me and Louis.
We've arrived at the studio, the London Reel Studios. This is Brian. He's about to grill me.
Cheers. Cheers, guys.
Okay, I think we're ready to roll.
That's
just
you.
me, yeah?
Yeah, there's water there.
I'm going to sit here. We've got a little camera set up over there. How many cameras are rolling?
So we'll have 1, 2, 3, we'll have 6 rolling.
Nice.
So we used to have a GoPro up there, like when Chris Eubank.
Well, this is
Yeah.
serious. This is serious.
Ready?
Finished. That was long. That was like over 2 hours of chatting away. Kind of lost track of time. Guys, I really enjoyed that interview. I don't know what it was. I think because I'm often, my pace of life I've talked about before is a bit, it doesn't allow for a lot of slow thinking and deep kind of analysis and conversation.
And how cool is Louis Cole, right? Amazing. And when he comes over to your studio, what happened 2 days later? We were part of one of his vlogs that I think has already racked up about 80,000 views. He called it Bulletproof Coffee, ? So, and we were in there. I think he was in the studio for about 8 minutes of his interview he put in there. So it's super cool. And this guy's a pro. He actually wears his DSLR on a clip on his hip. So whenever he needs it, he just pulls it out and films. This guy's a pro. He's one of the guys that inspired Casey Neistat to do his daily vlog, which now gets like 1 million views each, and something that really inspires us around here. So much love out to Louis. That episode's going to be out in a few weeks, and we'll keep you in touch. This Sunday, we drop our episode with Mr. Matt Willis, a good friend of mine who is a member of the band Muck Busted and also a member of the band Busted, which is now being reunited. They're going to tour the country, O2, all the big things. And Matt has never spoken so candidly as he sat here and talked with me. After the interview, he's like, Brian, I've never talked about those things. I've never told anyone about my real struggles, you know, with alcohol, drugs, and addiction. And he just seemed like he felt a lot better after he spoke about that. We also talked about Amy Winehouse, someone he knew as a teenager and who was a real loss to him. And what an amazing guy, what an amazing performance. And his whole life has been reinvigorated with this reunification of Busted. I'm so excited for Matt. The trailer's out, episode drops Sunday, and it's all kicking off. And I love those guys so much. So check that out. And we're about to jump into your questions, but a lot of people have been asking me, especially from the summit, about the Business Accelerator course. We had 3 of our graduates on stage at the summit, and they talked how they went from taking their idea, turning it into a product, and then selling that in a business. And now we have the applications for the second class of 2016 going out tomorrow. So if your email is logged in to the Academy, then great, you'll get a copy for your application to be submitted. If not, log into social on London Real Academy and you'll get one out. This is going to be incredible. This is 10 weeks where you basically become part of my inner circle. I spend 2 live calls with you every week on Zoom where I get to look at you and talk to you, and we push you through the process of turning your idea into a business. It's not easy, it's hard, it's a lot of fun, but we all get through it together, and it's literally changing lives, and people are finally taking charge of really their future and designing their life as opposed to letting someone else design your life for you. So super excited. I can't wait to read the applications. I'm reading every single one, so submit yours. We'll get you an answer within 48 hours if you're on the course, and it's going to be a whole hell of a lot of fun. That starts, I believe, on May 1st, so put that in your calendar. Now, let's get into these questions here. I'm going to hit you up GaryVee style. This is how his vlog started, and he wrote a book on the back of it. So who knows what will happen here. This is from Instagram, and that's Anthony Asbury. Says, Brian, who would you get to fill the Chris Eubank slot at the next London Real Summit? Tough act to follow. Real talk, be obsessed, is what Anthony says. Anthony, thanks so much. You know, having Chris Eubank at the summit meeting, he came out in the afternoon session, got on stage. First of all, we played his walkout music, and he comes out, you know, shadow boxing through the crowd. He was loving it. But to hear him with his seriousness and earnestness and talk about what it's like to watch his son go in and try to recreate his own career, to talk about what it's like to lose, to talk about what it's like to potentially get back in the ring and fight Nigel Benn again, and what it's like to train, you know, when you're, I think he's 49 years old, and he looks great. He is an impressive guy. He just has so much feeling and energy with him. I don't know how I'm going to follow Chris Eubank, but tell you what, I might ask GaryVee to be at our summit meeting in September. So to be continued, Anthony. We'll see. But if you have any other suggestions of people you want to see at our summit, let me know, and we'll definitely make it happen, because all of the speakers at the summit, they pulled me aside and said, Brian, we've never seen a crowd like this before, ever. The energy was incredible. Everybody was in the same headspace. Everybody was jumping out of their seats. Chris got a standing ovation when he got there, standing ovation when he left. There were standing ovations the whole day. So it was amazing and incredible energy. Thanks for that question, Anthony. I appreciate it. Next one. Radio Villy says, Brian, how is the Wim Hof method going? Great question. If you're a member of the Academy, you see I'm posting every single day. I am doing the Wim Hof Breathing Technique. We had one of his students a member of the London Reel Academy, Tony Flow Reel, who's also the host of Flow Reel, his own London Reel inspired show. We brought him up on stage. Tony has spent time with Wim Hof in Amsterdam, just spent time with him in Hawaii with big wave surfer Laird Hamilton and his wife Gabrielle Reese. And Tony came up on stage and guided the entire summit, the entire audience through 2 rounds of Wim Hof breathing techniques. And to be honest, I got hooked right there. I had interviewed Wim here about 3 months ago, and he had impressed me, but I hadn't actually gone for it. Now I'm doing the breathing techniques every morning, and I'm actually going into a cold pool right now at my gym. It's absolutely freezing, but I go in for like 5 and 6 minutes. I'm really loving it. There's definitely something here. Using your breath that way is a great way to reset yourself. To be continued. I've got 61 days left on my Wim Hof breathing technique, but I'm going to write a blog about this, so I will keep you posted. But thank you for being so observant. I really appreciate that. So that's your answer to that, radio. Going back to Mr. Marvin Reed, he said, Brian, can you talk about GTD by David Allen and how you and the team implement it? Have you found it effective, and how do you guys use it? You know, Marvin, that's a great question. For those of you that don't know, GTD is an acronym for getting things done. And one of our guests in the very first version of this beautiful new studio is named David Allen, and he wrote that book. And David has a method and a system of getting things done. And quite honestly, if you want to know how to get into this guest chair, the one thing you have to do is get things done. That's it. You have to GTD, and you have to GTD on a regular basis. And I like to think that at London Reel Studios, we GTD, and our success is only based on how much we GTD. As long as our why is in the right place, and I think our spirit and our heart is in the right place, then you have to GTD. So many people have great ideas, great philosophies, and you never hear and they never do anything because they don't actually get things done. And so I've actually taken a course with David Allen's people here in London, and I'm trying to be better at my GTD practice. I'd say I'm probably a blue belt, maybe a purple belt on GTD, but I could do a lot better. But some of the basics of GTD that you can implement in your life right now is getting things down on paper or written down or emailed when you have them in your brain. So it's called mind dumping or mind sweeping, but get the things out of your head, down on paper, onto your whiteboard, onto your wall. I email myself, and then go through those and get those things done. So many people keep things in their head. Oh, I got to do this. I got to walk the dog. I got to have kids. I got to get my degree. I got to start my company. I got to do a TED Talk. And they never do anything about them. But one of the basic things you can do is get them written down or emailed. And David Allen, when he was sitting in this chair, actually it wasn't this chair because it was the studio, one version before this, he pulled out a book and he's like, I wrote this stuff down. Buy this wine, call this guy, and do this. And it was that simple process of just writing those things down. I actually email myself. Whenever I think of something, wherever I am, I email myself that idea, and it's my to-do list. It's not the most efficient way, but it works for me. That's a basic way of getting things done. The other thing I like to do is my weekend review. So usually I come in on a Saturday afternoon here where things are a little less hectic. It's still crazy around here, but I can try to just take a step back and realize, what do I need to prepare for the next week? And that's another great technique that David Allen has. And again, this stuff is not for executives. It's not for entrepreneurs. It's for anyone who wants to get things accomplished. That could mean you're a parent. That could mean you're an artist. That could mean anyone who just really wants to be successful. And it's an important thing to do. It's just as important as being creative. It's just as important as your training, as your meditation, as your movement routine, is getting things done, because that's how things happen, and that's how we move forward. And wherever you are in your life right now, you're there because you actually got certain things done, which includes just staying alive and eating. But I think so many people I meet, they just don't get things done, and they could fix it by just paying a little bit of attention, going in. So I'd say get the book, look into it further. Of course, watch the episode with David Allen on London Reel. It's a fantastic one. And Marvin, thank you for that question. It's really good. If I have one piece of advice for everybody, it would be just to GTD. And quite honestly, it's the question I ask about anyone when they tell me about someone. Oh yeah, my friend, da-da-da. I'm like, do they GTD? They do? Okay, cool. I want to hear more about them. If they don't, I don't. So there you go, rolling through a few more questions. Then I want to tell you what I learned from Gary Vee today, because it was some really powerful stuff. Let's see. Sukhev Singh from the Academy says, Brian, I have a question. How do you deal with the battle of keeping things simple as you learn so much from interviewing others? Sukdev, that is an amazing question, and it's a great one. It's funny. The guests that come through this studio inspire everybody in the studio. And when Jocko Willink leaves our studio, everybody is saying extreme ownership after that. Right, guys? Everyone's saying extreme ownership after that. And we all get obsessed with these ideas, and they're amazing ideas. And for the next 2 weeks, we are just owning everything in our lives. Personal, business. I got a piece of paper out in front that has Jocko Willink, extreme ownership. Are you doing it? And so we get super excited with these ideas and we implement them. And then Gary Vee will come in, and Gary Vee will be like, okay, you got to do this with your life. You got to do that. Someone else will say something like Simon Sinek, start with why. What is your why? And we'll start asking each other, what is our why? So I think that's healthy to have these KPI people in your life asking you, forcing you to ask yourself questions. I think that's amazing. But again, you want to simplify your life. But all of these people, including guys like Dan Pena, Wim Hof, Chris Hadfield, I'm just going through Dorian Yates, all these people on the wall, they have different ideas, but actually they're quite similar. And one of the things Gary Vee said today is, stop complaining. It was just that simple. He's like, BS entrepreneurs complain. Real entrepreneurs don't complain. Because as an entrepreneur, you're going to lose. You're going to lose all the time. You're going to get punched in the face over and over again. And that's just doing business for an entrepreneur. So don't complain. But all of my guests in here come from that frame of, we don't complain. Do you think Chris Hadfield, an astronaut who spent 166 days in space, complains about anything? In his book, An Astronaut's Guide to Life on Earth, he talks about how you get on with it. You try to be a 0 or a -1 in most situations, which means you either try to add to the situation, but never detract from the situation. Dan Pena, do you think he complains? Not likely. So a lot of these people have very, very similar messages. Chris Hadfield, prepare for failure. Jocko Willink, extreme ownership. These are versions of the same thing. So to be honest, Sukdev, a lot of the themes are similar. Take ownership. Take action, do things, take your hits, keep going. It's not about the come up, it's about the comeback. Be generous, be grateful, have a vision, start with your why. These are continuing themes on London Real, and we don't pick the guests at random. We pick people that we feel have good energy, so it's no surprise that a lot of those messages, come in line with each other. Yes, every now and then I get a Ty Lopez here that says read a book every day. And Dan Pena says, don't read. Gary Vee doesn't read. He's like, I don't read books, Brian. I write books. He actually doesn't even write his own books. He's got a ghostwriter, and he's quite open about that. And I respect and like that a lot. So when it comes to specifics, you have to make the call. Sometimes I read a lot. Sometimes I get things done and just do it. So I think you can learn from all of these people. But just finally answering your question, I think there are some simple underlying truths that you can learn from any successful person. And that doesn't mean net worth. That can mean a happy person. That's success in my mind. A person with a great philosophy that changes the world, aka Gandhi, Martin Luther King. These are all successful people who, quite frankly, get things done. All these people GTD'd. Otherwise, you would have never heard their name. So yeah, there's a lot of themes that they keep coming up. Even Gary today, the first thing he said about that flash mob you saw earlier, he said, Brian, I said, how's that make you feel? He could have said, Brian, like I'm the king, like I'm the baddest social media guy on the planet, because I am. And if Gary would have said that, I'd have been like, okay. He said, Brian, it makes me feel humbled and grateful that these people would come out of their busy lives and come see me. I mean, like, the dude is London Real to the core. And honestly, all great, successful people are really that humble when you get them in person. They're all that grateful. And, Gary Vee is no exception. So I'll get into a few Gary Vee-isms here at the end, but that's one of the things I learned from Gary in a big way. Final question, Angel. Francisco Anderson, I love Angel. He was at the summit. He was here at a focus group about 4 or 5 months ago. Angel's a bad mofo. He gets things done. He's got great videos on YouTube. He says, Brian, how to improve productivity for a team of 8 people, specifically to the 1 or 2 that are unproductive? Angel, I'm learning how to be a manager, to be quite honest. I always shunned management roles when I was an engineer, even when I was in banking. And in banking, to be honest, you can be a superstar and run your own P&L and your own business and do quite well. But in most other businesses, you really have to have a team to scale. And I'm learning every day. But quite honestly, the lessons I learned from Jocko Willink with Extreme Ownership are really, really holding true. And I really recommend that book. What I've learned to do is I have to communicate. You have to constantly communicate the mission, the philosophy to the team. Don't assume they know what you're thinking, even if you said it yesterday, because people need to constantly know what's going on, why we're doing this. So I'm just trying to communicate more at all points. I'm trying to listen to my team because they know the information on the ground that I don't understand. I'm trying to decentralize command, let them make decisions. If I believe in them and I trust them, which I do because they're part of my team, then let them make the decisions. You know, they know what's going on, not me. So I'm trying to decentralize command. I'm trying to lead down the chain of command so they know. I'm trying to encourage them to lead up the chain of command, to sell me on ideas that they want implemented, not just say, oh, I'm getting frustrated because Brian doesn't listen to me. You got to come and sell me. And prioritize and execute, another big thing, and simplify. The entire summit process, we were simplify, simplify, simplify. We got 200 people flying to London from Asia, from America, from countries all over Europe. Let's make sure there's an amazing show that just kills it. Let's not complicate it. And so we simplified. So that's what I'm learning, Angel. I would say over-communicate, get everybody in the room, listen to what they say, give them ownership of what's happening. But honestly, I'm a blue belt when it comes to managing. I'm learning lots, and luckily I got people in the house like GaryVee, like Jocko, like Dan Pena to a certain extent that can help me learn how to manage. So I hope that helps you. And I just wanted to wrap up with some of the things that GaryVee said today, really inspired me. I learned so much even preparing for him, and quite honestly, I'm getting like a PhD from London Real Academy just being here and interviewing people every day, because I really have to dig deep into their brains, and then when they talk to me, they leave impressions. But GaryVee today, great entrepreneurs are born, not made, and I think that's true. Either you have what it takes to take 25,000 punches in the face and come back, or you don't. And if you don't, he said, know yourself, assess yourself, and maybe it's better. The 15th employee at Facebook made the right call to be at Facebook and not start their own company. Sometimes it's better to be part of a winning team than to go start something on your own. So just remember that. And if you're with great people that allow you to do amazing things and take extreme ownership, cherish that situation. Because I've been in jobs in the city in banking, mechanical engineering, in trading. Very few of those I got extreme ownership and I could actually do what I wanted to do. And that's usually why I left. So if you're in that role, go ahead and do it. Gary, hustle. It's the only tangible thing I believe all people can do. I agree. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can't control. Hustle you can control. Do you want it? Do you want it really bad? Again, start with your why. What is your why? If your why is really true to you, it shouldn't even be hustling. You should be all over it 24/7. Gary lives, breathes, eats this stuff. He loves it. So, what are you hustling for? And I think everybody is born to hustle. So that's a big thing. Social media platforms. As Gary said, two keys to success on social media platforms. Win over the youth market, be extraordinarily useful. Gary adds value all the time. That's what he does. He does it without even noticing it. And when he asks people to buy his book, which he does once every 2 or 3 years, he doesn't even feel right about it because he's always giving value, giving value, giving value. So learn from that. I hope we do that here at London Real. I hope we're always giving you great messages, great ideas, hours and hours and hundreds of hours of free content, a place where you can meet other people, network, a place where you can learn about your business, a place where you can learn how to give a TED Talk. I hope we're always giving value, and it's something to remember. And again, win over the youth market. I'm learning, we're on Snapchat, we're going bigger, I'm starting to listen. But Gary says, be on Snapchat. He said, in 18 months from now, every 40-something is going to be on Snapchat. Be there now. So that was big. And Gary, finally, I'll end on this. He says, have empathy. And most people look at Gary and they're like, he is the loudest talking, biggest ego New Yorker there is. And he walks around telling people how he knows what he's doing. Yeah, he does. But he actually has empathy because he thinks to himself, how can I add value to you? How can I give something, create something that's going to get someone's attention. He's a day trader of attention. Think about that. He day trades people's attention. And however he can get your attention means he's giving you value. And he fully admitted, he said, Brian, you give hours of amazing content. That's what you do. Someone else might do a 1-minute cat video. That's how they give someone's attention. He might write a book. That's a piece of attention. It's not always to be consumed in digital and not always be consumed the same way, but are you giving value with someone's attention? And if you're not, you're getting it wrong. And that can mean you're a company or you're an individual with a brand. Maybe you're just trying to sell something to someone right away. Rethink it. Really rethink about how you're giving value to people, and you'll learn a lot from Gary Vee. And that's only a few of the small things we touched on. There's more. I won't even get into all the rest, but our episode with Gary Vee is going to be out sooner than later. We're trying to push him to the front of the queue here and get it out in a couple weeks. Really enjoyed my time with Gary Vee. We might be putting out the live episode to the London Real Academy members. We'll see, not sure about that, but check on the Academy for that. And that's it. It's been an incredible week here at London Real. I was just marking to the guys, you know, the summit was incredible, but it's 10 days ago, and in London Real time, that's like 10 years. I barely remember what happened because we got all these crazy people in the place with amazing ideas. We're doing real talks. We got Max Kaiser dropping by today. We're launching the Business Accelerator course tomorrow. Super excited about that. So we're always pushing ourselves, always going forward, always climbing the steep learning curve. That's what we're trying to do here. I hope you do the same. Go out there, get things done, push yourself, challenge yourself, lose, get punched in the face, as Gary would say, and come back. And that's it. Real talk. We'll see you next week. I'm out of here.